Good afternoon. It's just coming up to 6 minutes after 4 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. Now, what on earth do those in the church know about the real world? Huddled away in opulent gold leaf-clad temples, in extravagant settings, in stone buildings that to build now would cost a fortune, drinking from a selection of gold chalices which no person on a normal salary could afford, used for drinking the blood of Christ, symbolised by red wine, which, when you think about drinking someone's blood, doesn't really sit well, whilst preaching how we should be more giving and forgiving. Many have given themselves to Christ, so remain celibate, but yet give relationship advice. No mortgage, no kids, and plenty of free time to do God's work, whatever that is. This morning, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, said this about sending migrants to Rwanda at his Easter address.
And this season is also why there are such serious ethical questions about sending asylum seekers overseas. The details are for politics and politicians. The principle must stand the judgment of God, and it cannot. It cannot carry the weight of resurrection justice, of life conquering death. It cannot carry the weight of the resurrection that was announced first to the least valued, for it privileges the rich and the strong. And it cannot carry the weight of our national responsibility as a country formed by Christian values, because subcontracting out our responsibilities even to a country that seeks to do well like Rwanda is the opposite of the nature of God, who himself took responsibility for our failures on the cross.
Right, let's break that down. He said the principle must stand the judgment of God. Surely the principle is to deter people from taking a very dangerous crossing in the first instance. I mean, that is not a bad principle. Also, trying to stop the people trafficking model, that principle is a deterrent. He also said it cannot carry the weight of resurrection justice, of life conquering death. It cannot carry the weight of the resurrection that was first to the least valued, for it privileges the rich and strong. Nobody in the real world speaks like that. I'm not quite sure what all that means. But what is his solution? This isn't the first time, actually, that the Archbishop has got involved, and on many of the issues I actually agree with him. But should religion be getting involved in this way? He denounced Boris Johnson for his rule of six during COVID, and he has talked about his disappointment over Partygate. Look, I went to an all-girls Catholic convent boarding school, which means it was run by nuns. It was an incredible experience. I also studied philosophy and theology. Religious studies was my favourite and best subject. I took Holy Communion, but stopped at the bit where I could properly make a decision. I chose not to be confirmed because by that stage I'd become disillusioned by the whole setup. Religion is a great thing to have, but the way I understood it was that those who dedicated their lives would properly get involved in the community and live more modest lives. Take Mother Teresa. She didn't worship in an opulent temple and have extravagant gowns and drink out of gold cups. What I see within the church is a level of hypocrisy and self-righteous preaching, as though many in these churches believe they have a hotline to God. You only need to look at the Vatican, which to me, it's more like a mafia. It's extremely wealthy, many popes seen with expensive and ornate jewellery. It's one of the richest institutions in the world. Then there are scandals like the paedophilia that's rocked the very foundation of the church. So for it to talk about ungodliness, whilst I have every respect for those who follow the faith and for many of the moral beliefs and ideals contained within the Bible, sadly, many of those with the calling, tasks for spreading the word, often fall short. This is disheartening. It seems the very opposite of what it is actually meant to achieve. I don't believe that it should get involved in politics, but what do you think?